Hello. I would like to tell you something that happened to me that brought me to a new stage of my life. I've been involved in spiritual seeking meditation for about 40 years. 30 years of those were spent as a hypnotherapist. But something happened that brought me to a whole new stage of total clarity and understanding. And there is never a limit to understanding because it is all inner wisdom. Um, I'd like to compare it to a woman who's I heard about, and I don't remember her name, but she's a perfect example of what I'm about to tell you. This woman was a very intelligent woman, a seeker, but an agnostic. Uh, she loved hiking in the woods. She loved nature. One day, while hiking, she was walking through a rough terrain, and she saw a rock, a huge rock. But in the middle of this rock, there was a crack. And she leaned over to look a little deeper. She was so curious about this whole sight. And as she looked very closely at that crack, she saw a flower was struggling to survive in that crack. But what happened to this woman was an epiphany. She suddenly realized that life is about unconditional love. It didn't come to her through reading or study or meditation, but a sincere drive to know the truth in her heart. And this was her moment that brought a total awakening and shift in transformation. So it takes very little to really realize. And this happened to me too. After so many years I've been doing it, and I've always known, what it's about really, and I was always very clear. But this particular incident brought me to a whole new level of understanding. This is how it happened. In January 2017, my daughter, after about 23 years not seeing each other, and we barely wrote each other or Skyped, we absolutely lived separate lives. She was in Toronto and Burlington, and here I am in Vancouver. She decided to come and visit me for 2 weeks to spend with her daddy, as she put it so sweetly. And the moment she told me that, I rejoiced. It felt good and it felt right. Anyway, to make a long story short, Candice, who happens to be my best friend, drove me to the airport because I cannot drive. I have a peripheral vision impairment, so I sold my car. And as we drove to the airport and I met my daughter for the first time in all those years, it was as if no time went by. And how I felt about her and how she felt about me was mutual. When we arrived home, we were so good and happy. We were in love. And she said, "Bert, why don't we talk about love and do some videos and put them on the air?" And so we did. Well, by the time we arrived at video number 4, I opened up the video because it was all spontaneous. We didn't plan anything. I said to the viewer, I said, "If you were to ask me, what have I learned all these years?" And I would put it very simply, all I've learned is to trust who I am. And I left it at that. Well, as it happened, it was time to drive Deborah home to the airport. And when I came back and saw all these emails, there were quite a few. They were asking, "What did you mean, Bert, by who I am?" Or what did you mean to trust? And how do you trust, etc., etc. So it came to me very strongly that all these emails needed one answer. And if I could do it in a video or something written. So I contemplated on this, and I went to bed that evening, and suddenly I woke up with a strong drive, an urge that I had no control over. And at 3 a.m. I started writing. There are 4 unknown facts of reality. I found myself just writing it. And it was so clear. And it was so strong that I had no control over it. There was nothing I could do. As a matter of fact, I stayed home, I locked myself in, and I started writing a book called 4 Unknown Facts. And my inner guidance dictated the whole thing. I was so driven that I didn't care whether I slept or ate or showered or shaved or anything. I simply just gave in to this for 10 days until the book was finished. When it was all over, I understood things that I wasn't so clear before. And it was a whole new approach. So when I got emails telling me, "Bert, I've been doing this search for a long time. I've read every book you can think of about non-duality, about truth, about spirituality. I'm still stuck." And I understood what stuckness was and why people get stuck. Let me say this, what I've learned from writing this book for 10 days. First of all, the truth is this: there is only love. Love is what it's all about, and love is the only thing that works. In fact, it is it. Love, and listen very carefully, love is what it's all about. There is nothing else but love. But the thing is that the moment the conditioned mind, which is everybody initially, is that the moment you believe you know the truth as love, you begin to think that now, knowing that it's love, you know what it's about. But you still cannot live it because it is a concept. And remember that a concept of love is actually a dangerous thing, even calling it love, because the moment you think you know something, you create a mental picture. That mental picture becomes a reality to you, a belief that you know. And the moment you think you know, you cannot go beyond that. So that's what stuckness is. You cannot go beyond your own perceived reality. So there's got to be something that the mind cannot understand initially, but the heart could. And the word was given to me by my inner guide, the word emptiness. Do not use the word love, but use the word emptiness. And the 4 facts that were given to me were 4. 1. There is only emptiness. Emptiness is unconditional love, and it is infinite intelligence. Number 2, which made it all clear why there's so much suffering and so much misery and so much negativity in the world. Because emptiness, which is love, but the average person doesn't know that, is the highest and greatest fear of mankind. In fact, the only suffering of humanity is a fear of emptiness. Emptiness is the greatest source of emotional pain, such as fear of death, such as fear of lack, such as depression, anxiety, any form of suffering, fear of not being good enough, fear of missing something, fear of not knowing who you are. In other words, this idea of emptiness, immediately it is transferred to the mind as something that you lack, something that you are without. But in truth, emptiness itself cannot be those things, because emptiness has no beginning or end. It has no circumference. It has no size. It has no time. It has no beginning or end. You see, and that's the beautiful thing, because you cannot define it. And emptiness and love are one and the same thing. When you understand emptiness, you understand love. And that very understanding will bring you to a state of trusting it. So therefore, number one is emptiness. It's all that there is. Number two, emptiness is the suffering in the world. Because, again, we do not like the word emptiness, and we see it as being without, whatever that is. Number three, we begin to understand as we delve into the word emptiness through meditation, through forms of going deep beyond thought into the gap between thoughts. We will find that emptiness itself is unconditional love. It is that silence, it is that sweetness, it is that energy that does not judge. You see, emptiness means empty of ego, empty of judgment. And judgment means no good or bad or right or wrong or should or shouldn't. In other words, everything is emptiness. Everything, everything, everything. Whether it's negative or positive. Is fear emptiness? Yes. Is depression emptiness? Yes. Is love, the highest courage, the highest beauty, the highest glory, emptiness? Yes. Everything is one, all empty. But the moment you understand emptiness, wow, now that's the transformation. When you begin to see the love that emptiness is, because after all, emptiness is not empty of something. You see, it might be emptiness when it's love itself, pure love itself, empty of judgment. In other words, there's no judgment in it. There's no feeling of lack. That is the fruition of loving you. You see, the emails that I used to get, and I still get about 100 every week, you know, and they're always asking, why am I stuck? The reason is always the same, and I'm repeating myself. And it is because you do not love who you are. Because it's all about love, which is emptiness. For example, a woman might ask me, I love my husband, I love my children, but Bert, why don't I love myself? And then I have to tell her the truth, which often is not pleasant. And it is only because you do not love who you are, what you are. And if you don't love, how can you love someone else? So when you say you love your husband, do you really? Because you cannot give that which you don't have. But the moment you have love for yourself, then you can give it and share it. Now when I say loving you, it is not an ego, as some people might have figured out. No, it is not loving your body because you're handsome or beautiful or rich or young or vitally alive. No, no, no. It is loving who you are, which is emptiness itself, which is your soul, your spirit, your light, the emptiness itself. When you're in love with it, because it is who you are. You've never been born and you will never die. You just are forever. And it's such a beautiful thing. And the goal of your life is to go home, which is really known as heaven, because it's all unconditional love. So therefore, this is the truth of your being. The moment you become to know emptiness, then it will lead you to number 4, which is the unknown fact. You begin to trust it. And when you trust it, that's true success and true power in life. You see, when somebody is brought up without love in childhood, without feeling that warmth, that love, that connection, then they seek success and power in life. It's inevitable, because success, the need for success in life, which is advertised all over the internet and everywhere. Be a success. Strive for success. But you see, success doesn't bring you love. It doesn't bring you fulfillment. It doesn't bring you love of yourself. Only temporary. But it is true love. That love which is all-encompassing. Like Course in Miracles says, that which is all-encompassing can have no opposite. Therefore, when you understand emptiness, emptiness is everything. Everything. If you're depressed, it is emptiness. If you're happy, it's emptiness. What does it mean, emptiness? Because it is all spirit. It is all just is. And the moment you see it in that isness, you forgive it. If you're suffering from a negative emptiness, in other words, you see it for what it is and you see it as empty. There's nothing there. You see? And that becomes instant forgiveness, which of course is love of yourself. You have compassion for yourself. It is that which brings liberation and also transformation. So those are the 4 unknown facts. But it was given to me with such an impact, such a drive, such a conviction that I have to share it as much as I can, you know, until somebody actually starts hearing it. And this is what I do now in my Skype sessions. I try to bring people into an understanding of their own beauty. That it's already now, it's already there. You don't achieve it, gain it. As a matter of fact, I found a poem. I'll give it out in a booklet. I just don't have it with me. It's written by Emmanuel. And it's so beautiful and describes emptiness so great. But anyway, I guess this is it. I said what I wanted to say, so namaste.